Hi everybody, this is Scooter Whispering, and I thought for my first ASMR attempt that I would, excuse me, try to read to you from a book. I've been told that I don't think that my speaking voice is actually that relaxing, to be honest, but I do think that people have told me a lot of times that they like the way I read, and I've been reading books for a really long time, and I used to read books out loud to people all the time when I was young. So I'm going to read you just a couple chapters from a book that I like, and it's called Just Ride, a radically practical guide to riding your bike. And this is by Grant Petersen, who is the founder of Rivendell Bicycle Works in San Francisco. Mr. Scooter Whispering and I were lucky enough to be able to meet Grant Petersen when we visited the Rivendell factory headquarters. And it was awesome. And he got a bike at the time, and then I got a bike about a year after that. And we both like to cycle a lot. Him a little more than me, but we don't have a car. So I do cycle a lot. And I've learned a lot about cycling, and I think that this book has a lot of good practical advice. So I've just picked a couple chapters that I think are interesting, and hopefully they're informative. Or maybe I'll just knock you out with my reading voice, I don't know. But I am going to start now, and the first chapter I'm going to read is number 9, and it's called No Ride Too Short. One of the problems with becoming a serious bike rider is that you stop going for short rides because somewhere along the line it sinks in, falsely, that the ride you don't have to suit up for doesn't count. That's your inner racer talking, and you need to shut it up. Many rides are too long. They bake you, soak you, stress your joints, numb your nerves, wear out your muscles, and take time away from a well-rounded life. My own ride limit these days is about 4 hours. P.S. That's a really long time to ride your bike. At least to me. My mood doesn't change after 4 hours, but no matter how beautiful the ride is, how great the weather, how fantastic the companionship, 4 hours is plenty for me. Maybe your limit is half that, or twice that, but you do have an upper limit. No ride is too short. Carbs aside, is a small spoonful of your favorite ice cream too little to bother with? Is a 2-minute massage not worth the trouble? Pedaling a bike is the same way. It's pure fun no matter how short it is. 5 minutes of riding a day, of sitting or standing, is a great way to unwind. A 5-minute ride in the neighborhood may sound too short, but if your bike has double-sided pedals and you don't have to waste time donning your serious bike rider costume, you can just get on your bike and go. You can do it on a whim anytime. Don't evaluate a short ride in physiological terms. Easy pedaling is good thinking time. I get all kinds of ideas for bikes, products, and general life solutions during short rides. The super grand solutions often come after 20 minutes, but you'll get some good ones within 5. And if you don't, it's still better than 5 minutes of sitting down and eating 5 minutes worth of chips while viewing 2 minutes of television commercials. The solutions and ideas don't happen during fast-paced club rides or rides where you're struggling every pedal stroke. Only on easy bike rides. I'm not saying don't ride the hotter-than-heck Century or the dreadful Double. Ride that hard rides that challenge you and feel good to complete. Go on the 40-mile club rides you wouldn't consider riding solo, but make the most of your rides more pure fun than those. Those usually mean shorter. And I like that chapter because it encourages me to get on the bike no matter what. And the next little chapter is under the subtitle of Suiting Up, and it's called The Clothing Ruse. Riding a bike makes minimal demands on jerseys or shirts or tops because when you're riding your bike, your upper body just sits there. In fact, an upper body with statue-like stillness, a quiet upper body in the racer's language, is a hallmark of good form. Even so, go into any bike shop and you'll see rack after rack of technical wear and salespeople eager to explain to you how it makes the difference between pain and joy, sluggishness and speed, comfort and misery. The reality is that riding without official bike clothing is like going to parochial school without a uniform. If you ride with racers, it's expected and nearly required. Racing style clothing, most of which is worn by recreational riders, is tight and stretchy because racers like tight for aerodynamics, and the assumption is that you want to dress like a racer. Once it's tight, it has to be stretchy or you wouldn't be able to get on and off. Aside from aerodynamics, the main advantage of these body gloves is that they're easily printed with advertisements or art, ranging from skeletons to local chiropractic service, coffee pubs, and bike shops. Sponsored and pro riders are obligated to wear this avergarb. Unsponsored racers wear it to identify with a certain pro bike tribe or their local club. Racers also like the pockets built into their body-hugging gear. They can carry a granola bar or a compact windbreaker, no basket or saddlebag required. But if you aren't on a team or in a club, you have no obligations to turn yourself into a billboard or a dry goods storage unit. Also, unless you have a washboard stomach, special riding threads are unflattering. In hot weather, tight synthetic fabric warms up and presses against your already cooking skin. If you don't race, loose is better. Loose clothing ventilates better and stays off your skin. Untuck your shirt so it flaps a little and keeps the air moving around your skin. If you need to store something while you ride, get a fanny pack, a basket, or a bag. And just as an aside, Rivendell makes some really great bags for bikes that clip onto your baskets and are really handy. Back to the story. Tight bike shorts are even worse than tight tops. The benefits of tight shorts with padded crotches matter only to racers and mega milers. For anybody else, and for recreational rides, even vigorous ones lasting the better part of a day, a good saddle, smooth seamed shorts, and standing up now and then are all you need. Loose shorts or pants vent much better. With pants, the only place looseness is potentially a problem is at the bottom of the right leg where the crank and chain are. If you're riding in bell bottoms, don't. And if you need a little extra snugness down there to keep your pants away from the chain, use a pants clip, strap, or clothespin. Wardrobe overview. When you don't race, almost every shirt, sweater, jacket, or coat you own is a cycling garment. You can dress for the weather and your own sense of style, just like you do off the bike. You won't look like a racer, and that's just another benefit. And if maybe you can tell, Grant Petersen is not a bike racer. This next one is safety, and it's entitled, Racers Don't Ride Bike Paths. More room for you. Racers avoid bike paths because they have too many joggers, slow riders, dog walkers, and baby strollers. None of this is a problem for the unracer. You just deal with them. But racers aside, lots of bike advocates and safety experts tell you bike paths are dangerous and it's safer to ride on roads with cars. Behave just like a motorist, they say. You'll be more visible and your assertive behavior in the lane will garner respect for all cyclists. They say riding on paths sends a message to motorists that the cyclist's place is on the path. I've never seen proof of this message, and I don't buy it. When a bike path is going my way, I ride it because there's less chance of getting hit by a drunk driver. There's just something special and relaxing about riding a bike in a place where cars aren't allowed. I wish the whole world were like that. Also, I'd rather be predator than prey. That doesn't mean I want to hit pedestrians on paths. It just means I prefer it when there's nothing bigger or heavier that can kill me. I trust myself not to hit a pedestrian with my bicycle and cause a boo-boo more than I trust a cell-phoning drunk in an Escalade not to mow me down. Oddly, there are bike riders who hate to see bike riders on bike paths. They have two arguments. One, that if bike paths exist, we should ride them exclusively and let the cars have the road. And two, that bike paths lull cyclists into a state of inattention which can be deadly when the path inevitably crosses a road. Sure, that could happen. But it seems to me that minimizing the time you ride in the close proximity of deadly traffic can't be all that bad. I ride bike paths whenever they're an option. And I have to say, personally, I completely agree with him on that. If a bike path is your option, you should definitely take it every time. And then the last one I have for you is under the category of health and fitness. And it's called Riding is Lousy All-Around Exercise. The title of this book means Ride without the influence of pro racing, peer pressure, posturing, commercial interest, and Hollywood. Not ride your bike to the exclusion of all other physical activities. If you want to be healthy and achieve functional, all-around fitness, you've got to do other things. A lot of bike riders, especially serious racer types who ride expensive bikes and dress in racing clothes, believe that all precious exercising hours are best spent riding their bike. That may be true for racers who need to cram 200-mile weeks into 15 hours of free time, but it doesn't make sense for anyone else. Riding a bike is a great foundation exercise. It works the big muscles of your legs and butt. But reduced to its simplest biomechanics, pedaling a bike amounts to twirling your feet in 13.5-inch diameter circles while the rest of your muscles don't do much. Climbing hills is an exception, but I'm talking about in general most of the time. When you focus solely on any one exercise, your muscles become super efficient, and after about 4 to 6 weeks, you stop getting better at it. Or you at least reach the point of a bad return on an investment. Pedaling a bicycle exemplifies this, probably more than any other muscle movement in any other sport or pastime. Your muscles need shock, strain, and variety to thrive, and turning pedals around in circles doesn't do it. Plus, riding your bike on a smooth road isn't load-bearing, so it doesn't fend off osteoporosis. It takes time away from weight-bearing, bone-building exercise. To double the threat, long, hard bike rides trigger a release of cortisol, a hormone that inhibits your body's assimilation of calcium. Long-distance riders are famous for having porous bones. It's a spooky, harmful adaptation to keep their bodies as light as possible for better climbing. And when he says climbing on this, he means climbing hills on a bike, just to avoid any confusion. A lot of riders who push themselves to do longer and harder rides do it with the belief that overtaxing their bodies this way somehow supercharges their health. It doesn't. Long, hard rides grind you down. They tone your muscles, but their biggest contribution is building mental toughness that prepares you for yet another grueling ride next week. You prepare your pedaling muscles for the occasional killer ride far more efficiently with anaerobic training. If your purpose is health or fitness, as opposed to personal achievement or socializing or commiserating with others hour after hour, the long, mid-effort slogs that are a staple for most serious riders are a bad use of time. Altogether, if you ride so much that you have no time or interest or energy to do any other kind of exercise, you'll be a foam-boned, hunched-over weakling after 30 years of it. You'll be fit for bike riding, but that's it. So instead of grinding out 40 miles in 2.5 hours or 80 miles in 6, try 10 miles in 40 minutes. Use the time you save for walking the dog, hiking with your spouse, chopping wood, push-ups, pull-ups, CrossFit, kettlebells, yoga, frisbee, whatever. No matter how much you like it, bike riding shouldn't be your only exercise. Ride your bike half the time, then work the muscles that bike riding doesn't. So, those are some words of wisdom from Just Ride by Grant Petersen. A great book if you want to get into cycling. And yeah, I hope that this has been a good read for you. I hope it's either informed you or maybe put you to sleep. If you have any requests of anything you would like me to read, I would certainly be open to reading whatever stories that are appropriate for me to read. So just let me know what you think. Thanks.